Good evening, friends. Hope you all are doing good. So, today we are going to see the third chapter of your NCRT, that is about the drainage system of India. So, yesterday we saw about physical features of India. So, I hope you guys have understood the physical features. Now, these chapters are very, very important from your UPSC prelims and mains point of view. So, I hope you are taking them little seriously and revising them every day and watching my video lectures every day. So I know these are little heavy lectures, 250 MB, but I don't think so 250 MB is too heavy for you. So I think you should watch it every day. You should not miss them. So friends, let us understand the drainage system of India today. So when we say drainage system, what do we mean? So drainage system means the way through which water flows. We call it as a drainage. Okay, the channel, the we can say the specific channel through which water flows throughout year and year. We call it as a drainage. So in India also, when huge amount of rainfall is there, huge amount of glaciers are melting, so this enlarged quantity of water flows through certain way. We call it as a river, we call them as a tributaries, we call them as a stream, we call them as a lakes. So we call them as underground water. So these all the things called as a drainage. So drainage, finally, this water goes into the sea or into the ocean. So let us understand the drainage system of India. So friends, let us understand certain terminologies in the drainage system. Okay. So drainage is an area. Now you can see this is a drainage system of a river. So this is an area. Okay. This is an area of a river and its tributaries. You are calling it as a drainage or drainage system, or you can call it as a river system. So river, its tributaries and their tributaries, so many things. We call them together as a river system. Now this river system, we have a Ganga river system, we have Brahmaputra river system, we have a Godavari river system, we have Narmada river system. So one river system is different from another river system. It is separated from another river system. Tributary of Ganga will not give water to the tributary of Brahmaputra or tributary of Narmada. So these different river system are separated either by certain mountain or elevation or plain or upland. We call it as a river divide or water divide. Getting it? Okay. So these elevated area or water divide are very important in understanding the river system in case of India. Even in India, we have divided river according to the water divides. So in 11th standard NCERT, we are going to see that. Okay. So the biggest river system in the world is the Amazon river system. In terms of volume or water volume by its discharge, we can say Amazon river is the biggest river system in the world. Now friends, when we are saying this river system, in case of India, we can classify India's river system into the two types: Himalayan river system, peninsular river system. So this is a bigger classification. There are some other classification as well. Okay, like rivers flowing into the Bay of Bengal and rivers flowing into the Arabian Sea. Also, according to the volume of water they discharge, according to that also we can classify the river system of the India. Okay, but basically here we are going to see two river systems, that is Himalayan rivers and peninsular rivers. So what are the difference between Himalayan and peninsular rivers? So Himalayan river system are originating into the Himalaya. So their course is from Himalaya to the Bay of Bengal. Okay, only one river, that is the Sindhu river, is going into the Arabian Sea. Otherwise, most of the rivers are going into the Bay of Bengal. So they are very long river. Okay, lengthwise they are very long. They are fed by rainwater as well as glacial water. So the volume of water they carry is also very large. Okay, so the second thing is they are volume wise they are very large. Third thing is, since these Himalayan rivers, they are originating in the sedimentary mountain. As we know, Himalaya is a sedimentary mountain. It is a fold mountain. So what is happening here? They are carrying huge amount of sediment along with itself. So when they are carrying huge amount of sediment, they are depositing huge amount of sediment in their way. So Himalayan river systems, they have huge sediments, and because of these huge sediment, they shift their course from one place to another place time to time. Getting it? So in case of peninsular river system, okay, these differences are these characteristics are little different. So peninsular river systems are very short. They are one of the oldest river system in the India. Okay, since we know peninsula was developed during the Gondwana times, so that time, a few million years back, these river systems have also been developed from that time. So these river systems are oldest river systems. They are shortest. They are not flowing very fast like Himalayan river systems. Himalaya is very tall, so river speed is very high. Peninsula is not very tall. The Western Ghats are not very tall, so that's why they are also very slow rivers. Okay, so some of them are flowing into the Bay of Bengal, some of them are flowing into the Arabian Sea, like Narmada is flowing to the Arabian Sea, Tapi is flowing to the Arabian Sea, and Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, they are flowing into the Bay of Bengal. Okay, so most of the peninsular rivers, they are flowing to the Bay of Bengal, and few are flowing to the Arabian Sea. So maximum origin of these peninsular rivers are in the Western Ghats. Almost 80% of the rivers are originating into the Western Ghats, and some 10-20% are originating into the Amarkantak Plateau and somewhere in the Chhattisgarh, some other Paras Hills and Kaimur and other hills, Vindhyan Hills. Okay, but most of them are originating into the Western Ghats. Okay, so this is some difference. These are some differences between Himalayan and peninsular rivers. Now, when we are talking about drainage system of India, let us understand these drainage systems or rivers one by one. So first, let us see Himalayan rivers. So you can see this Himalayan river system over here. Okay. First, you can see one of the big river system, Indus. Second is Ganga, and third is Brahmaputra. So these are the biggest rivers in the India, and they are making the biggest system of the rivers in the world itself. So volume wise, area wise, they are one of the biggest river systems. Okay. So let us understand all the rivers one by one. So first let us understand the Sindhu river. So you can see in this map that the Sindhu is rising near Kailash, near Mansarovar also, near Mansarovar or Kailash Parvat. It's very famous mountain. It is rising over here. Then it is entering into the India at Ladakh. Then it is going into the Jammu Kashmir, and then it is entering into the Pakistan. Okay. Here the other rivers like Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Bias, Satluj, they are meeting this Indus river here at Mithankot. Okay, down it is flowing into the Arabian Sea over here. So here Gwadar Bandar is there near over here. So Karachi is very important port on this river Sindhu, which is meeting at the Arabian Sea. Okay, so this is very important river. We have seen that these five rivers are creating these abs, we called as the doabs, and this region is called as the Punjab in Pakistan, very fertile region. Okay, so it has various tributaries. Tributaries of these rivers are Zahaskar, Nubra, Shok, and Hunza. These are some important tributaries of this river. So lengthwise, if you see, it is almost 2,900 kilometers. One of the largest, longest river in the world. Okay, it will come under top 5 longest river in the world. So we have just one third of the basin. Okay, India just have one third of the basin, and maximum basin is occupied by the Pakistan. So almost the let us say 80% of the basin is in the Pakistan. So when we are calling this Indus, Indus is a lifeline of Pakistan. So it is also lifeline for the northern states of India like Punjab, Jammu Kashmir, and Ladakh. It is also their lifeline. Recently we heard about Shok River. We have heard about Galwan River. So this Galwan and Shok River are meeting with each other, and finally Shok River is meeting to the Indus River. Getting it? So these things we have heard. So this Indus water tributary has been developed, okay, between India and Pakistan. So we are getting very low share of the Indus water treaty. We are having eastern three rivers are under our control, and western three rivers are under the control of Pakistan. So we are getting only 20% of the water, total 20% of the water. But the main thing is that we are controlling the source of we are controlling maximum portion of these rivers. Okay, so this is all about Indus water and Indus river. Now next river is a Ganga river. Okay, Ganga, as we called as a mother Ganga. So one of the very important rivers in the India in case of developing the Indian civilization as well as sustaining it. If Ganga dries, our civilization will come under very much threat. So tributaries of Ganga Ganga is rising at the Gangotri glacier, okay, near Gomukh in the Uttarakhand. Then it has a tributary like Yamuna, Tons, Ghagra, Gandak, Kali, Kosi. So these tributaries are there. Some of them are originating from the Nepal. So some Nepal Himalayas are also giving rise to the tributaries of the Ganga. So length of the Ganga is lesser than Indus. You can see 2,500 kilometer long. Only is the length of the Ganga. Now near Ambala there is a divide between, as we have seen the water divide. So Ambala sits on the water divide between Ganga and Indus. Okay, so Ganga river system and Indus river system are being divided near Ambala. Okay, so this is very important place. So Ganga river, the Ganga river is flowing from here from Uttarakhand and it is going down from UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, parts of West Bengal and into the Bay of Bengal, into the Bangladesh. So when it is entering into the Bangladesh, here it is meeting with the Brahmaputra river. So here it is meeting with the Brahmaputra river, and downside in the Bangladesh it is also known as a Jamna. Okay, Jamna. There is also one more river coming from the northeast called as a Meghna. So Ganga, Brahmaputra, and this Meghna, three rivers are meeting with each other. So then it is forming a huge delta over here, okay, which is called as a Sundarban Delta. So this Sundarban Delta is very, very important. At the end, the Farakka is the southernmost point in the West Bengal in India on the Ganga, where it is divided into two distributaries. Okay, so it is divided into two distributaries, Hooghly, okay, and Bhagirathi. So Ganga is bifurcated into two distributaries, Hooghly and Bhagirathi. Okay, so now as we have seen, it is making a very huge delta called as a Sundarban Delta. So Sundarban Delta is very important delta, one of the biggest delta in the world, or world's biggest delta is the Sundarban Delta. Almost entire Bangladesh is sitting on the Sundarban Delta. So the name Sundarban comes from the Sundri tree. Okay, so these are one of the trees. Okay, they are very, very important trees which saves us from the flood, and they saves us from lots of natural hazards like uh, uh, cyclone and all these things. Getting it? So Sundri trees, they are very good. The wood is very good for making of ships. They never sink, and it does not get rotten. So because of it does not get rotten because inside the water. Okay, so that's why these Sundri trees are very, very important. Okay, they make the ships out of this Sundri tree. So making ships and small ships are also made using this Sundri tree. Okay, so this Ganga, as it is making a huge delta over here, there is a river and island called as a Ganga Sagar Island. Okay, which is also made on the Ganga. Okay, so Royal Bengal tiger is very famous animal for on this Sundarban Delta. So government of India has started this Namami Gange mission to clean the Ganga in 2014. First thing they did is they started Namami Gange mission. But as you know, whatever this mission could not do, just a lockdown and stopping of all the industrial and human activities, it has made Ganga and Yamuna clean rivers. Some people have shared some pictures of Yamuna and Ganga in Delhi. Okay, Yamuna is in Delhi, so it was very clean. It used to look like a gutter before. Now it is looking like a complete river, complete blue water. Okay, so this Namami Gange mission is very important. It has various components that it is going to make drainage this Ganga drainage very clean by not discharging any effluent by industries as well as household into the river. But this is a very big project. It requires huge participation of people. So it is going to go very long. So now after Ganga, let us come to the Brahmaputra river system. So Brahmaputra, third largest Himalayan river system. So it is originating in the southern face of Kailash. Okay, southern face of Kailash near Mansarovar it is originating. Then it is flowing through the Tibet parallel to the Himalayas, and at Arunachal Pradesh near Namcha Barwa, here it is taking a U-turn. Okay, you can see here it is taking a U-turn and entering into the India. When it is entering into the India, it is called as a Dihang. Okay, so this river is very important. It is also known as a Sangpo. In Tibet, it is known as Sangpo. So this one of the longest rivers, and maximum part is flowing outside the India, but volume wise it is discharging huge volume inside the India. It is carrying huge sediment itself because maximum of its course is through the Himalayas, so it is carrying huge sediment along with itself. So this river shifts its course very prominently. It keeps on shifting its course many times. Okay, and this Assam is situated on this Brahmaputra river. You may know the famous temple of Kamakhya. Okay, so is also situated on the Brahmaputra river. So it has a tributaries like Dihang, Lohit, and Dibang. These are the different tributaries of Brahmaputra. One of the favorite river of UPSC. Many times it asks the question on the Brahmaputra. Okay. So friends, now let us once you have understood this river system of the Himalaya, now let us move towards the India peninsular river system. So when peninsula, we call it as peninsula is a triangular landmass. It is one of the oldest landmass in the India. Okay. So these river systems are also very oldest river system. Okay. So as we have seen, so some rivers like Narmada and Tapi, you can see over here, they are flowing to the Arabian Sea, and you can see Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, they are flowing to the Bay of Bengal. So these different rivers are there on the peninsula. So let us understand these rivers one by one. So first is a Narmada. Narmada is a flowing through a rift valley. So now what is a rift valley? How it is being formed? So that's a process. I will explain you later. So right now just understand it is a huge ready-made valley through which it is a flowing. It river itself has not made the valley, but it was ready-made available because of the tectonic shifting. Okay, because of tectonic faulting, one rift valley was formed, and through which Narmada is flowing to the Arabian Sea. So it is rising near Amarkantak Plateau. It is also called as a Rewa over here, and it is flowing through Gujarat. It is flowing through the Madhya Pradesh, and it is going to the Arabian Sea. So it is making very beautiful things like Marble Rock and Dhuadar Falls. So it makes a gorge made up of marble near Jabalpur in the Madhya Pradesh, and it is also making Dhuadar Falls over there. So Dhuadar waterfalls and these marble rocks, they are very famous. Ancient time, these kings in the Madhya Pradesh. So during full moon night, this marble gorge used to be glow in the moonlight, and they used to go on a they used to swim in the river, or they used to go for the just night walk to just experience the pleasant atmosphere on the full moon day. Okay, so this river is very important. This is one of the lifelines of the central India, because central India is very arid semi-arid type of region. So this is also facing problems like river degradation, pollution. So Namami Devi Narmade mission has been started by government of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so since these rivers are very short river, their tributaries are also very short. Plus they are flowing very quickly to the Arabian Sea. So their rivers, their tributaries are very short, and they are meeting with the main river in the right angle. So they are making right angle while meeting the river Narmada. So type of drainage patterns we are going to see, in that we will see this. Okay. Now next river is a Tapi. So just south of the Narmada, here you can see we have Narmada. You have Narmada over here. Then you have a Satpura in between, and then you have a Tapi over here. So Tapi river is also flowing through a ready-made rift valley, but this is a shorter rift valley compared to Narmada. Narmada has a little longer rift valley, but Tapi has a little shorter rift valley. So it is flowing through Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. Okay, so this is one of the very important rivers in the central India. Okay, now if you see that Himalayan rivers are very long rivers. Why? Because they are rising on the Himalayas and meeting to the Bay of Bengal. So they are covering the huge distance. That's why they are very huge rivers. But these peninsular rivers, they are very short rivers because they are originating into the Western Ghat, and they are directly meeting to the Arabian Sea, which is very close to the Western Ghats. So their length is very short compared to the Himalayan rivers. So there are west flowing rivers except Narmada and Tapi, like you have Sabarmati, Mahi, Bharatpura, Periyar. These are some of the rivers which are west flowing rivers. There are also important rivers. Mahi is one of the biggest rivers in the Madhya Pradesh, which is flowing to the Arabian Sea. Okay, I hope you guys have understood this. Now, let us come to the east flowing river, that is peninsular east flowing river. So, first of them is a Godavari. Godavari is the longest river of the peninsula. So, it is also called as a Dakshina Ganga because of its huge length. Okay, so almost 1500 kilometer. Okay, 1000 kilometer lesser than the Ganga, but very long river, very fertile delta it makes over here. Okay, so it has many tributaries. So you will need to remember the names of the tributaries. You can make certain mnemonics to remember the names of the tributaries. So almost 50% of the river is flowing through the Maharashtra. Then rest of the some of its tributaries and other course is going through the Hyderabad. Sorry, this Andhra Pradesh. Okay, and also Karnataka. It is going through downside, it is going through Odisha, and in the end, it is meeting into the Bay of Bengal. So this is one of the most important rivers in the India. So it has a tributaries like it has a Purna, Vardha, Pranahita, Manjra, Vainganga, and Painganga. So these are very few tributaries. I am going to give you many tributaries. Almost 10 to 20 tributaries are there. All are very important. Left bank tributaries, right bank tributaries. We are going to see in the class how we can do this. Okay. So this is one of the very important rivers. Next important river is a Mahanadi basin. So above Ganga you have a Mahanadi basin. So Mahanadi rises in the Chhattisgarh. We don't know the exact source of Mahanadi. Okay, it is not very long river, but it is a huge river. Almost 860 kilometer long this river is and flowing through the Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and Odisha. Okay, so this is also very important river. The coast of the Mahanadi, it is making a delta near Dharma. Okay, coast of the Mahanadi is very famous for olive ridley turtles. Okay, so in environment you are going to see this one of the endangered species of the turtles, sea turtles. They come to lay their eggs on the coast of this Odisha. Okay, so we are going to see this when we will see the environment. Next river is a Godavari. Sorry, next river is a Krishna. Krishna is below Godavari. Okay, Krishna Godavari delta are almost connected to each other. So Krishna is rising in the Western Ghat in the Nashik district called as a Trambakeshwar. So from there it is rising and it is finally going to the Bay of Bengal at Odisha. So Krishna is flowing to the Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so Andhra Pradesh, it is a very famous river in the Vijayawada. Okay, it is passing through Vijayawada, 1400 kilometer long, and it has Tungabhadra, Koina, Ghataprabha, Musi, and Bhima. These are the tributaries. So drainage is shared by Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh. In the Andhra Pradesh, it is meeting with the Bay of Bengal. It is making delta in the Andhra Pradesh. Godavari is making delta in the Odisha. So I hope guys you have understood this. Okay. So sorry. Uh, so I hope you don't have any doubt over here. Godavari and Krishna. So Godavari is not making this delta in the Odisha. It is also making delta in the Andhra. Okay. So don't have any doubt over here. So friends, I hope you have understood these rivers. These are rivers. They are not in much detail in this chapter. We are going to see detailed chapter about all the rivers and their tributaries when in the class. Okay. Next river is the Kaveri river. Okay, you can see the Kaveri over here. Okay, so it rises at Thala Kaveri. Okay, so in the Bhimgari ranges. Okay, in the Western Ghat it is rising over here. So Kaveri is finally flowing through this Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, some part of Kerala. In your NCRT they haven't mentioned the Kerala, but some part of Kerala also it is flowing, and finally it is meeting to the Bay of Bengal in the Tamil Nadu. Okay, so Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, three different states it is flowing through, and there was lots of dispute over here. Length is 760 kilometer, and you have Noyal, Bhavani, Hemavati, Amravati. Okay, these are the tributaries of this Kaveri river. Okay, and one of the biggest waterfall called as the Shiva Samudram waterfall it is making. Also, it is making a riverine island called as the Shiva Samudram. Okay, so we are going to see these things. So these are the important rivers and their tributaries which are mentioned in our book. Now friends, when we are talking about these rivers, Okay, there are certain projects which have been started by the government of India for the conservation of these rivers, like Namami Gange and all these projects. Okay, so in the schemes, we should do these projects very thoroughly. Okay, they are very important from the point of view of our mains. There are some lakes in India along with the rivers. So lakes are of different types. Oxbow Lake, we have seen the Oxbow Lake like it is a shoe of bull, or you can say it's a shoe of horse. Okay. So Uller Lake is said that like it's an Oxbow Lake. Okay. So Uller is in the Kashmir. Okay. And there are certain lakes called as the lagoons which have been made because of the bar and split. So what is a bar and split? So for example, this is your coast. Okay, so this is your coast is like this. Okay, because of the uh, erosion of the coast. Okay, waves, what they do, they erode the coast and they deposit these silt behind into the sea. So what happens after some time? A bar forms over here, and this bar gets keyed up like this because of the deposition, and because of that, here a lake is being formed, which is called as a lagoon, called as a bar and split, and because of this, lake has been formed over here. So there are some lakes in Andhra as well as in Odisha, like Chilka Lake, Pulikat Lake, Koleru Lake. They are all because of the bar and spit type of thing they have been formed. So I hope you have understood these things, and then there are certain important things in this chapter like role of rivers in the economy and river pollution. Very important thing. So what is the role of rivers in the economy? So as we know, rivers are very important for what? First, they are the basis of civilization. For agriculture, they are important. Industries, they are very important. For drinking water, they are very important. For biodiversity, they are very important. For economic activities like fishing, transport, they are very important. Also, they keep the atmosphere cooler. Getting it? So these are the different roles of the rivers, and economically how they are important. You think of it. River pollution also very important thing nowadays. All the rivers are polluted, and because of the industrial effluent and domestic effluent is being dumped into this river without purifying them. So that's why rivers are getting polluted. So this chapter we are going to see separately. Okay. So I hope you guys have understood this thing. So National Rivers Conservation Plan has also been made by the government of India. Okay. So Ganga Action Plan is also part of this National River Conservation Plan. So different river conservation plans have been made under this National River Conservation Plan. Getting it? So the objective is only to improve the quality of the river water. Okay, and make it more and more pure. So these are the very simple things mentioned in this chapter. Hope you have understood this. If you have any doubt, please ask me. Now let us understand some MCQs based on this chapter. Okay. So first MCQ is, in which of the following states Ular Lake is located? Jammu and Kashmir. Yes, I have told you. The river Narmada has its source. Okay, where is it? Oh, Amarkantak. Yes. Central India. Which of the following lake is a saltwater lake? Ular, Dal, Gobind Sagar. No. Sambar Lake in Rajasthan is a saltwater lake. Which one of the following is the longest river of the peninsular India? Definitely Godavari. Which of the among rivers is flowing through Rift Valley? Flowing through Rift Valley is the Tapi River. So I hope guys you have understood this chapter. Important chapter, but not complete. All the information is not given in this chapter. When I will give you notes, they will be very comprehensive notes. Okay, we are going to see some parts in your class. So please revise, and if you have any doubt, please let me know. Thank you.